So, sometimes when you are living a life that's pretty normal, you get depressed and a bit down sometimes. So, what do you do when you feel like shit, basically? Well, I like food, as pretty much anyone that knows me will know that I do enjoy my food. But since I'm a vegan, I always just have veggies in my house. Like, that's all I eat, clearly, fruits and vegetables. So how are they going to help me get out of a funk? Well, number one, I do have more things in my house than just veggies. That's a bit of a myth about vegans, is that all we eat is salad. Woo! Yeah, no, not true. But I do have some amazing recipes, and I want to share one with you today. It's chocolate chip cookies. Now, I could go antidepressants or chocolate chip cookies. I don't know. I'm thinking chocolate chip cookies are going to cut it for me today. So I'm going to make some and I'm going to share that experience with you, and hopefully that will be fun and a bit informative and will help us all to feel a little bit better on the days when we don't feel great. So for me, that's a day. Today I don't feel great, so I'm going to make cookies. Yay! Anyway, I'm about to share the love. Here we go. Alright, so there's a few things that you need for this recipe, and I'm going to run them through with you so you know beforehand, and it's pretty basic. Ingredients for chocolate chip cookies aren't going to differ that much between vegan versus non-vegan. There's a few changes, but really pretty basic. So, first ingredient obviously is going to be the base, which is in this case flour. So, hooray, I've actually got some really nice organic flour that I'm going to use today. Awesome, always good to have more organic things in our lives. Next things are a couple of different types of sugar. So, just some brown sugar, you know, just plain old brown sugar. And other sort of granulated white sugar. Now in Australia, we're pretty lucky. The sugar that we have here isn't created with bone char, which a lot of sugars in the States are apparently created with animal bone char to refine them or something. It's pretty gross. So, but in Australia, we're lucky we have naturally vegan sugar, so easy to get that stuff. Another thing you'll need is your no egg. So in Australia, that's an egg replacer, no egg. As you can see from the label inside of this handy dandy jar. Obviously it doesn't come in a jar. When you buy it, it's in a little box, but I like my jar better. And in other places you'll have your preferred brands of egg replacer. So the other things that we'll also need is some bicarb soda. Again, I prefer jars to boxes, so I just converted this old jar to a bicarb jar. So some people call this baking soda, not to be confused with baking powder, which is slightly different but does a similar thing. Bicarb is sometimes called bicarb soda, bicarbonate soda, bicarbonate of soda. It's got a bunch of different names, but it's baking soda or bicarb. It's pretty easy to remember. You'll also need a shortening, which in this case I'm going to use Meadowlee Dairy Free, which is accidentally vegan. Hooray for accidentally vegan ingredients, yay! And it's great for cooking. It's not something I'd probably use to put on my toast or something else, but it'll be great in this. But also maybe you'd prefer, in Australia, Nuttelex is a great brand, and they're all vegan as well, so just a big plug for Nuttelex, a great brand, fabulous. You'll also need some Choc chips. So these ones are just a no-name brand, and I'm just going to use those. So you don't really need to look very hard to find vegan Choc chips. They're usually the cheapest brand to buy, so that's about it. Alright, so now we get started. I just want to share with you this really geeky thing. I've lost my recipe book, so I've had to write down the recipe on the back of an envelope, because that's a really good place to leave your recipes, on the back of an envelope. Oops. Anyway, it's pretty basic, so I'll run you through what we're going to do. I might even just move the camera and then you can see what I'm doing a bit better. Alright, so we'll start with just measuring out the flour, which is, you know, pretty basic thing we've got to do. 2 cups of plain flour. Just pop that straight in the bowl. I guess we're supposed to sift it, but nah. Don't care enough. Because when you're depressed, you don't really care, right? Am I right? I'm right, aren't I? Yeah, you know I am. Okay, so there's another 1/4 cup of the flour. So the other things that we need to add at this point are going to be the salt and the baking soda. So recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I'll just sift it into this little thing, and I'll just bust it up with my thumb. And I'm just using a tea strainer because you don't really need to use a really big, you know, sifting thing for that. It's just to break up the little balls so they don't sort of Honestly, you ever eaten a cookie and it's like you get a mouthful and you're like, oh, this is so good, and you're like, oh God, what was that? It was probably a little bit of bicarb soda. It tastes really revolting. So anyway, so there's the bicarb. And so I think we just need like a teaspoon of salt, which sounds like a lot, and you know, probs maybe it is. So there's a teaspoon of salt, and we'll just mix that up. So I'm going to grab a little spoon out, give it a bit of a bust around with my wooden spoon. Just sort of mixes it in, and you can't really see what you're doing. You can't actually notice the difference, but trust me, it's making a difference. Alright, so there's the flour done. The next step is to beat the sugars and the vanilla and the butter in a big bowl. So I've got my big bowl here, and I think it's like a cup of the butter. Let's just be honest about these things. We know that chocolate chip cookies aren't good for us. Sure, you know, we really should be nomming down a delicious bowl of carrot sticks with hummus, you know, and just to be extra good, they should be organic. But, you know, screw that. I want cookies, damn it. So we need the 2 different types of sugars, which was your brown sugar, which I think we need 3/4 of a cup of that. This is actually a 2-cup measurement thing, and I don't know that I need 3/4 of a cup of each. Basic maths tells me that's a cup and a half total. So instead of like cleaning it out and doing it, I'm just going to just dump the other sugar on top and measure it to a cup and a half, because I know that's going to be accurate. There's our sugar in our bowl. And I think we need to put the vanilla in, the vanilla essence. Now, I'm pretty lucky. I've actually managed to get hold of some vanilla paste, which is this stuff here. And holy mother of crap, this shit is good. There we go, delicious vanilla goodness. Now, the recipe just says to beat it, but honestly, I don't want to subject you this out of my beaters, so I'm just going to do it by hand. So, alright, so you can kind of see that it's kind of gone quite gloopy. That's great. Now, I can actually see there's quite a few lumps of sugar in there, but I'm of the opinion that when you're eating a chocolate chip cookie, you'd much rather get a lump of sugar in your mouth than a lump of bicarb. So I'm going to go, I don't care. Easy. Next thing is to add some egg replacer. Anyway, I've mixed this up. I've made some bad jokes. It's just about ready. I'm going to chuck in about half of my egg mix, and then I'm going to give it a good mix, because that's what the recipe says that I'm supposed to do. And we all know how good Esca is at following instructions. Yeah, not so much. Alright, and I'm going to chuck the rest in, because whatevs, alright? Alright. Mixy mixy. It's going to be really, really sloppy at this point. You can probably see. It's looking pretty gross, actually. It actually looks really disgusting. Can you see that? Like, look at how gross that looks. It really, really looks gross. But don't worry, never fear. We have yet to add the chocolate, and we have yet to add the flour. So it'll be fine. So give it a really good mix and combine it all in really, really well.